Yeah, come on in. Who is it? Hey, Malone, it's me, Rookie. What's going on? Hey, Rookie, how is it going? Hey, come on in. Have a seat here. Right here. Have a seat. What's going on with you? Well, Malone, I was looking at the YouTube and I thought I saw a guy we might want to look into. I don't know if you ever heard of this guy, the Livingston Man. Boy, oh boy, Rookie, I tell you what. Rookie, that's a name I ain't heard in a long time. I tell you what, where did you find out about this guy? I was watching a channel. It was called Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, and he had to stay. He said he was an android. Yeah. He said he was a Russian android. Yeah, I know. I know all about those guys. You ready to learn about what a Livingston Man really is, Rookie? Or are you going to show your true stripes right now and offer your resignation? Well, I'm definitely not going to quit over some perp, Malone. What's the matter with you? He's not just some perp, Rook. Watch.
The Livingston Man, a hero in disguise. His legacy will echo through the skies. Forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston Man, the savior of the land. His legacy will echo through the skies, forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston Man, the savior of the land. The Livingston Man, a hero in disguise. His legacy will echo through the skies, forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston Man, the savior of the land.
Well, Malone, I got to tell you, that was like a really cool little music video or something, but that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, that made it look like he's not like some kind of Russian android robot. I mean, what was the point of all that? I just needed to get you in to understand what kind of guy he is. He's not a kind of guy that stands out, okay? And it's amazing he even refers to himself as what he is. Livingston Men are a thing, okay, Rook? What are you from? What year are you even from? There's a Cold War on, dummy. They got these crazy Russian bots they built. These things are supposed to be secret. Only like 5 people in the United States, complete government, even know about these things. And actually, my question for you, Rook, is again, how did you find out about this thing? I'm watching a YouTube video, Malone. It was right there. The guy with his name said Livingston Man. I watched his video. He was fixing the sink. He was fixing the sink. Yeah, that's how they get you. That's how they get you. You know, you got to invite them things in. They can't just walk in your house. Malone, like, all right, but I mean, what's the big story here? I mean, why you seem like you're drinking about it? I brought up this guy and you're drinking about it. Kid, I drink over a lot less than this, I'll tell you what. But you got to take yourself all the way back to the end of World War II when all those Nazi scientists got scapped up, right? And they was grabbing, the Russians was grabbing them, and then we was grabbing them, and then we ended up stealing the ones that had to do with the rockets and the space program, okay? But the Russians, they got a hold of some real Eastern European type stuff, Rook. We're talking like human androids, like, you know, with synthetic human beings, like robots, like anthropomorphic robots, Rook, okay? Do you know how hard that was for me to just say? All right, I mean, this issue has me using like 5 and 6 syllable words, Rook. Malone, you gotta calm down, man. Hey, have another drink of your beer, dude. Slow down, it's all right. I don't know how all right it's gonna be, Rook. I can't believe you even found out about this. It all starts in about 1947. We go all the way back. We go all the way back, and I'm going to become, bear with me, I'm going to become this scientist real quick. But there's no way to tell this story without getting into character here, so stay with me now, Rook. So there's no ways to really explain these Livingston Men. They are a product of extreme best interpretations of German engineering and Russian industrial power. What we were able to do in cooperation with our communist brothers in the movement at the end of the World War, when the communists took over the eastern of Germany, we had all of these incredible sort of Wolfenstein plans for new weapons and new technologies that were given to us in a UFO crash that occurred in the Kesselberg forest. But enough about that. We have extreme advanced form of android. You have seen Data from Star Trek? Well, he thinks they got the idea for him. Okay, we was working on this long before the end of the war, and the Russians allowed us to continue working on said this thing. We ended up calling it the Livingston Man. We thought it was ironic, as the Livingston was some sort of American heroes. We thought that perhaps they would not see these models of Android based on what they were, which are incredibly complex computer CrossFit body function. They are completely hydraulic and electric, but they do not appear to be so in any way. And they are not only never look the same, but are also, I have turned into an Indian accent now, but that is also my programming, is to be multilingual. But yes, so if perhaps the rookie is listening to Malone's story, this is the context he can grab from it. Malone, that guy didn't really tell me anything except like that. So these things are robots? That's right, kid, but I'm telling you, they're more than robots. Like you said, you've seen that thing on Star Trek, right? You know, he's capable of acting almost human, but except he doesn't really feel emotions unless you put the latest firmware update in him. But yeah, that's what we're up against with one of these things. And we were only told that there wasn't so many of them even left. So again, you saw this thing on a YouTube channel. This guy's just out there. He's just out there. Yeah, Malone, I am not going to really tell you again. I'm short of popping up the video for you, which we really can't do right now because we're on our own like YouTube channel. But I just, yeah. So like I said, I thought we needed to, pay attention to this guy. Are you saying he's some kind of person of interest? He's not a person, kid. All right, what then? Robot of interest? Is that what you want me to say? I guess that would be more appropriate. Okay, so that'd be an ROI. Can we call him that? Yeah, let's call him the ROI. We'll call him Roy from now on. That sounds good. You jackass. I don't know what you are getting at here, Malone. About this Livingston Man thing. Can you tell me what it is? What it is? Why has it got you so ruffled up? I'm gonna tell you, kid. So when you see one of these things and they're on the YouTube or they're on I'm going to tell you that I never saw one on the YouTube before, but when you see one of these things, it's a complete simulation. It's a fabrication. You notice things about them that don't make any sense. They contradict themselves. They say things they don't exactly mean on purpose. They have like this inbuilt sense of sarcasm to them, an artificial intelligence shouldn't have. These things are advanced, okay? I think that they possibly come from them little green men that fall out of the sky. They're Martians, they call them. The Martians. You think he's Martian technology, Malone. What else, what's the difference? Any kind of science displayed to a civilization that is ignorant, it was indistinguishable from magic, right? Yeah, the quote definitely goes something like that, Malone. You are just full of zingers tonight, buddy. I know, I pride myself on that, kid. But listen, you don't want to mess with these things. Not only is their computer processing power incredibly advanced, we're talking like, you thought like a Tesla charger, that it can't even use those for these things. Whoever owns this thing must have some kind of serious jackery or some kind of solar power bank, and I'm talking kind of a big one. You can't just plug one of these things in and make it work. Also, they're extremely communist. I mean, kid, they was built by Russians and Germans who was both communists. You got the worst of the worst contributing to this thing's artificial intelligence, if we can even use that word. Well, actually, the way he describes it, he says that his owner was able to somewhat reprogram. The thing speaks English, Malone. It speaks English, does it? Okay, kid. Now, first of all, that is just unheard of. Who owns this thing, and where did he say that he even got him from? He says he got him at a Russian arms bazaar. Is that so? So that his owner is a terrorist, then, is what we're saying? Well, I don't think he's a terrorist, boss. He's actually a pretty cool guy. He's all about helping people that are like not prepared to like deal with like some sort of situation or a disaster or an emergency. So there's some kind of preppers, huh? Interesting. It's an interesting thing to have in your toolbox as a prepper, is some kind of seriously overpowered human computer communist thing. What's his political leanings? Does he express any? No, he pretty much he seems to like make fun of everyone. He doesn't seem to understand what their fascination is with such things. That makes sense. That's his artificial intelligence, not quite understanding the things that make us humans special, which is infighting with each other and making all kinds of ruckus where they don't belong. Nothing. You know what I'm saying, Rook? I guess I know what you're saying, Malone. The thing you got to look for with these Livingston men is they're extremely conniving, okay? They can appear as anything. They can appear as anyone. They will say anything. They will do anything to gain your trust, because their initial function when they rolled off the assembly lines back in 1948 or so was they were supposed to infiltrate us. They was going to come in and they was going to take over the U.S. government. And you couldn't tell them apart from regular people. Occasionally, though, legend has it, some of them had malfunctions. I guess in this computer day and age, are you kids, Rook? Yeah, us kids, Malone. Yeah, you call them like bugs and glitches or something, right? Yeah, they had like bugs and glitches. Yeah, it's what was wrong with some of these, and they didn't just try to, update them or, maybe fix them or something. No, in fact, what they did with them was they exiled them to a colony of their own. Livingston, New York, and that's where they would just dump them for years. They just dumped them in this little jerkwater, backwater town up there in upstate New York, and then they, most of them, they was led to believe they all uncharged their batteries and they couldn't really be recharged, so everybody thought it was okay. So they just dumped these possibly hazardous material bearing robotic humans in the rural farmland of upstate New York. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? But they did that. And that's the reason you got to call before you dig, because you just don't know what's down there. Anyway, apparently, judging from your investigation, Rook, we got one on the loose. Now, I'm not sure quite what to do about it. We might have to look into some more of these YouTube videos about this guy. But in the meantime, Rook, I'm going to have to cut you off right there, because we're going to have to go to a commercial break, okay? This department can't pay for itself. So here comes, first, this is also me. I'm going to do, we're going to do an advertisement here. Welcome to this episode of The Livingston Man Unchained, the origin of The Livingston Man, brought to you by Spam. Since 1938, been feeding the boys overseas and taking the fight to the fascists. Everyone loves a can of Spam. Enjoy yours tonight. Sometimes, Rook, you need to show yourself on camera to prove to everybody that it's you that's doing this all the time. Now, Rook's afraid. He had to cover his face over. He doesn't like showing his face. He's deep undercover. He's one of them criminal informant types. But he's asking me questions about this Livingston Man guy. And I had to ask, Rook, how did you know? And he said to catch you up if you were not with us before the previously taped segment. I want to know how he knew, and apparently he found him on YouTube. We have a android robot that is masquerading as an influencer these days. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show. My name's Malone. I'm a seasoned, salty detective from the streets of New York, specifically Livingston. So when I hear there's a Livingston Man on the beat that I'm walking, I take umbrage with it. So Rook, I'm going to need you to tell me more about what you think of this Livingston Man. What conclusions have you reached in your investigation so far, moving forward, so we know how to apprehend the perp properly? Well, we know that he, performs literally a live stream on Wednesday night from a place, Malone, that looks a lot like the studio that you have. Yeah, that's the thing. I saw live streamers. It's all the same, all right? They put they put them colored lights in the background. They got that live, laugh, love sign behind them. Cool microphones in a way. What are you getting at there? Well, he's like, I think that maybe, Malone, you know more about this guy than I do. Like I told you, I know all about these things because I'm older than you. I've been around the block, and I heard the stories, okay? Well, I wonder if what we can do is just simply wait for him to go live with the guy I saw him performing with, and we can use like some kind of, tracker or jammer or something to find out his location. Well, you could probably do that, but everybody's got their Wi-Fi signals around here, and it might be a little trickier than you think. Well, this Livingston's not like a really big town. I mean, there's a couple of things we kind of know. He doesn't live stream from like the grocery store or the gas station, so that narrows it down. And then he's always talking about that big pond in the middle of town. So I wonder if we started like nearby that, and if we were to triangulate their Wi-Fi position, maybe we could just simply figure out where he's broadcasting, take him down real quiet, like it wouldn't even really be an issue. And then it would seem to be a weight off your chest, I think. Like, well, I don't know how much of a weight off my chest it'd be. I mean, this guy, it's kind of a respect thing. I mean, do I want to do a worthy opponent like that, Rook? Well, okay, I guess not. Like, so he is Rook. Malone is a, self-described Russian bot, Russian android. What do you want to do here, like, going forward? I mean, what's the end game here, Malone? What do you want to do? I'll tell you what I want to do, Rook. Right now, your line of questioning has got me a little flustered. First of all, I'm going to drink this beer. Okay, I drank the beer, Rook. And we're going to show him another commercial, okay? This one's brought to us by our friends down under. Vegemite, for all your nutritious needs, makes a healthy breakfast. A little bit of this on some toast, and you are living the high life. Ladies and gentlemen, Vegemite. When you can't put another shrimp on the barbie, reach for the Vegemite. Am I right? That was the stupidest commercial I ever saw in my life. He really, he not only, he did Australia worse than that breakdancer did on that one. But okay, listen, we got to fire that guy. I don't know where we got this dude. Anyway, so it started. I'm going to tell you. You know what, Rook? I'm about tired of your line of question. I'm going to come clean with you here, okay? This is going to be a long-winded, unhinged to your inexperienced mind. So get real cool with a lot of stuff real quick, kid. Now listen to me. The way these Livingston men work is they're all programmed off the assembly line with a basic, infrastructure. I guess you kids call it an operating system. Okay, yeah, that's what it's called, the operating system, right? Or unless it's, you call it Windows, or it's not Windows, it's some Russian thing. It's like 8 bits, like an Atari that can think, okay? So, and then what they got to do is they go through specialized training depending on what country they're going to go to, what their specific deployment is, what sort of, what niche they're going to fill in their job description. Okay, Rook, does that make any sense to you? Not really. That was pretty, wow. I know what I'm saying here, so that's all that matters. Okay, now follow me. I'm trying to follow you, but you make it so hard. Yeah, well, then do better, okay? Now listen to me. What they do is they identify certain traits that for some reason they stand out in their operating system. That makes them all a little different from each other. Now it sounds to me like yours is some kind of special motherfucker. I can't believe you just swore like that, Malone. Well, I get emotional about this kind of thing. He's here in my town and I'm finding out about it from you who seen it on a YouTube video. Unbelievable. Anyway, so what they go through is specialized training, and I assume that what this one got is exceptional sort of public relations training. He's charming. He knows how to make friends with people. He smiles and he's, cute. You saw him. What'd you think, Rook? Well, I did think he was, pretty handsome. He had those special blue eyes. And listen to you. Stimping for the Livingston Man. Why'd you call him the Livingston Man? I thought you said there's more. Because if it is indeed the legendary, the Livingston Man, he's the progenitor of all the rest of them. Don't you get it? You only just started calling him the Livingston Man. I knew what I was talking about, and that's what matters. I thought we already had covered this. Now listen. They all get specialized training. You already said that. I'm getting there. This kid, I tell you, this is why do you drink, Malone? Because of this kid. Anyway, this one sounds like a special case. I think he's in deep. I think they planted him there. The Russian communists must have planted this guy. You telling me he works on a right-wing prepping channel? Well, they're not really that like right-wing, but aren't most of them people? Isn't that what people think of them? Yeah, sometimes, I guess. Well, then you see what I mean. And this blatant communist robot has got a job working on some sort of prepping and survival channel. Has he found peace there? I mean, what does he do? He's pretty unhinged, really. A lot of time, he seems to act as like the I guess the clown, maybe, like, the comic foil. Typical public relations trained. The Livingston Man is the progenitor of all the rest of them. All the rest of their personalities, Rook, boiled down from his. This one possesses all of the personalities, Rook. Don't you get it? I'm definitely starting to think I understand it now, Malone. I mean, so you're saying like that this one is like the master code copy, like the original prototype. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He is all of the rest of them, who I bet you he is a little confused right now, especially if he's been hacked and reprogrammed by some prepper with a Chromebook. His entire lifestyle must be a little bit alien to him. I bet he finds himself around people he disagrees with sometimes. But I guess that was probably, is he still serving the role he was chosen for, Rook? Well, if you think he's some kind of communist infiltrator, I haven't seen any overt moves by him to influence anyone really in that way. Well, what do you mean by in that way? Well, he does post on Facebook sometimes about, he says radical things, Malone, like unhinged things, like people should have food and places to live and health care. Blasphemy! You see what I mean, kid? Perfect example of dirty Russian communism. I mean, if that is not a walking advertisement for socialism, then what is, okay? I can't believe you even been watching this. Are you sure you ain't been tainted by that commie propaganda this Russian computer's been spitting at you? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, a lot of the things he says are really just completely unrealistic or unbelievable. Are they? Are they, Rook? Are they unbelievable? Do you believe it, Rook? I don't believe it, Malone. Can you fall back like a couple feet? That was an Italian sub you had for lunch? Yeah, it was good too. Thank you for sharing it with me. Can I borrow a napkin? What do you need a napkin for? You spit all over my face when you just got all upset. And you thought I was infiltrated by the communist robot. I still don't know that you weren't. We're going to find out by the end of this conversation, Rook. I'm going to tell you that. So this one you're tracking here, you think he's in the Livingston area based on what, Rook? He calls himself the Livingston Man. You said they dumped, you never really gave a number. Thousands of what? I don't know. Thousands, we'll go with robot human corpses in a town called Livingston, and then you then assumed that one of their batteries is somehow functioning and being charged, And also my evidence from YouTube has kind of narrowed down that they do indeed, him and his co-perpetrator, they broadcast from like the Livingston area. Do you, again, like, I mean, what else do you want, Malone? I just need to know everything that you think you know about this guy, Rook. I'm not satisfied with the results of your investigation. You want me to employ all kinds of resources. You want like helicopters and stormtroopers. You want all these guys, all these flashing lights. You know, what about, can you think of the epileptics for once in your life, Rook? Think of them. Flashing lights, sirens, everybody's on the floor having a seizure. Come on. You're not thinking things straight. Makes me think the case has got to you, Rook. It's the case that is, we don't have a case, Malone. I simply wanted to ask you a question. We got a case now, Rook. I'm going to tell you what. Are you certain this guy hasn't got to you? Is the Livingston Man in the room with you now, Rook? I'm certain the Livingston Man is not in the room with me now, Malone. This is really affecting you. Is there some sort of backstory here? Is there something you want to like talk about? There is. I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about it right now. But first, you got me drinking again, Rook. I have you drinking. And you know what else? I'm going to smoke one, too. I'm going to smoke a cigarette, Rook. You got me so fired up with your nonsense questions. Sticking your nose where it don't belong, in places it doesn't exist to be, cutting through red tape. Here comes Rook up the middle of the street, Mr. Law Enforcement himself, everybody. I can't believe that you have put us in this position. What position did I put us in? You got me smoking, Rook. Do you know what my wife is going to say? I'm going to come home, if I come home after we deal with this fucking Russian robot you found. You don't know what you dug yourself into. You're just a potato. You're just a potato, Rook. You're putting your roots in. You don't care where they go. You're just reaching off the shelf, hanging off onto the floor. The cats are batting at you. There's no dirt here, Rook. There's no dirt here. Malone, you're awful upset. You're like making me think that like there's kind of like some dirt here. I'm going to tell you something, Rook. Are you gonna shut up? Listen to me. I seen one of these things. It was 1957. The streets of East Germany was Dresden. We weren't supposed to be there. Me and some of the boys crossed over the wall. We was a little drunk. We was a little tipsy, Rook. Because there are people asking us stupid questions. You know the song, Rook. Yeah, okay, Malone, anyway. We was there. Maybe we met some Frauleins. Maybe we didn't. I don't know what happened, actually, on the other side of the Berlin Wall. But when we tried to step back through, they had one of these things standing there. Was it like, it's just like what you saw, Rook. It didn't look like anything. Well, how does that make sense? What I saw looked like a person. That's how they get you. I'm telling you, the thing looked at me like a snapping turtle, Rook. No fear, no empathy, no emotion, no fucks given by this thing. Had chainsaws for arms, Rook. You ever play that Castle Wolfenstein? That's what I mean. These things are dangerous. You tell me some prepper got one. A Russian arms bazaar in the Ural Mountains, Rook. How does this even happen? Why do you let things like this happen? I didn't let this happen. He's apparently been here since the 50s. How long you been here? Since like the 80s. It's not really an excuse. You could have put in overtime, Rook. You know that? But no. Lazy. Nobody wants to work anymore. Isn't that right, Rook? About that Livingston Man thing, I looked it right in its camera eyes. Took my soul that day, Rook. Why do you think I am the way I am, Rook? I just thought you had like a shitty home life, Malone. Hey, well, that too, but fuck you, okay? My home life is my business. So this thing, it scared you? That I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared, Rook. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed, Rook. What were you embarrassed about? They gave the thing 8 feet of height, Rook. It had chainsaws for hands. It was designed to at the same time that it had these alterations performed to it cybernetically, Rook. I didn't even notice it wasn't a person until it revved its chainsaw hands at me. This is how fast one of these things can just appear to you, Rook. You know, they got a cloaking device. They can turn invisible. Yeah, that's that Nazi thing. They invented that all the time ago with that Nazi bell thing. That's what that really did. People think, Rook, that was a time machine. It was an invisibility machine. Really throwing them back, huh, Malone? None of your business, kid. Pardon me. Now, the thing you need to know is that you don't just sneak up on one of these things, Rook. You know the senses this thing has? Okay, instead of ears, it's got microphones, Rook. Good ones. It can turn them, it can aim them. You remember that thing, that sonic ear thing? It looked like a hair dryer with a satellite dish attached to it. Infomercial thing. It worked, okay? We still use them. It's got those for ears, Rook. Eyes, infrared, ultraviolet, 20x optical zoom capability in its eyes, Rook. Its mouth can speak, quote unquote, any language, Rook. It's got that Babel fish from that movie there, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's the one. The good book, too. I don't know, you young kids, you never read the book. The stupid movies ruin the books. Anyway, I can't believe you opened this can of worms to yourself, Rook. It's a really tough time for you. I don't really I guess I just don't know one of these things the way you do. You would think so, wouldn't you, Rook? I'm not going to explain enough to you about how insidious these things are. The places they can go, they creep in like electricity through a bad ground, Rook. Let's say you're a GFCI outlet, a Livingston Man is a ground fault. He's gonna trip you off. And how am I supposed to even see one of these things coming? You think you see them coming, Rook? That's the thing. They thrive. They thrive on people's misperception that they will be seen coming. They're not seen coming, Rook. They see you coming, okay? You need to smarten up, kid, because now's the time. I watched a YouTuber myself, Rook. Which one was that? It's a vision preparedness. You know, he said the time is now, Rook, and that's what you need to realize. Your time is now. What side are you going to take when a Livingston Man slides right up next to you? But I am not going to even know that like a Livingston Man like sided up right next. Who says sided up right next to you? I meant to say slided up next to you. Slided up? Never mind my English. It's perfect. It's you who don't talk right, kid. Where are you from anyway? I'm like, upstate New York. Yeah, well, I'm from not that, okay? What I have is a seasoned, salty detective voice, and I'm not shy. And of course, my name's Malone. What I have is the quintessential, stereotypical, gritty, that's the word, detective voice, okay? What you got, what's wrong with my voice? I talk normal. I speak all the words. You don't have no swagger about you, kid. Your problem is you sound like you're wet behind the ears still, like a limp little macaroni ain't been boiled long enough. That's what you sound like, Brooke. Well, regardless of what I sound like, Malone, like, are you done, like, ragging me out, or are you going to talk to this, like, about this Livingston Man thing? I can't get over how upset this has made you, and you haven't really convinced me of anything really, in particular. You've beat around the bush quite a bit here. And I'm going to keep doing it, kid, because we got other stories to tell about our advertisers here. Now, I just want you to know that, of course, we are not sponsored by, but some promotional consideration in the form of me drinking it has been provided by Coca-Cola. Since Pemberton made the original formula and called it a medicine, we have been drinking Coca-Cola in America ever since. Not only does it taste good, nice and sweet, cleans the car parts, removes rust, paint, grease, pet stains, and mildew on the roof. Coca-Cola for literally all your needs, you guys. I don't know where they find these products from, but I mean, I don't know who's drinking parts cleaner. Okay, Rook, who is drinking that? I was just drinking a nice Coca-Cola with a straw, I might add. Yeah, I was drinking it with a straw, yeah. That's what's wrong with you, you know. What's wrong with me? You drink Coca-Cola with a straw. Who does that? Why? What's the point? What if the straw got a hole in it? All messed up, you can't even get a good suck on it, Rook. All right? I don't know why we're talking about sucking on straws. I don't know why you're sucking on one in my presence right now. You're making me nervous and uncomfortable with that straw, Rook. You got to stop with that. This is why people know. This is why no one respects you. You don't want to work. You got nothing but harebrained conspiracy theories about Russian robots, and as you sit there complaining to people, drinking Coca-Cola with a straw from a can, Rook. Malone, you are the most unhinged person I think I've ever met in my life. You ain't met nobody then. I'm the least of your problems, kid. You got the Livingston Man on the loose, and you're calling me the problem. Interesting, Rook. Why'd you sign up to work here anyway, Rook? I wanted to help people. I wanted to solve crimes. I wanted to get to the bottom of mysteries, you know, like Encyclopedia Brown or, you know, Sherlock Holmes or maybe those Winchester boys on the television. I don't know what any of that is, but here's why we do this. We sit in offices, we yell, sometimes we have big-ass revolving firearms that we brandish in the perp's face, but you can't just chase down the perp, Rook. You gotta know the perp. You gotta become the perp, Rook. You need to understand the perp, Rook. You are beating around the bush so incredibly, Malone, that I am really starting to regret that I even brought this issue to your attention. It was back in 1948. Again, you weren't there. I know I was not born for another 40 years. How is it that you were there? I was there. That would make you like 80-something like years old. I am. Okay. Forget what I said. What's age got to do with it, okay? I still got my faculties about me, Rook. And I don't appreciate you bringing that into question. Do I look like a presidential candidate to you? Absolutely not. You look like whatever the opposite of a presidential candidate is, that's what you look like. Then I appreciate you thinking that. Because I would never want somebody to think I was somebody to look up to or like says some kind of leader or something. You've gone from the most astonishing person to the most fascinating. Do go on. When you look at one of these things, Rook, what you do is you see yourself in one, and that's what gets you. Because those camera eyes, that fake look on their so-called face, it's there to see, but you don't see it, Rook. You need almost like special glasses to know one when you see one. And that's the problem, Rook, is we don't know how many of them are out there. We got one confirmed that you allegedly found on YouTube, but we don't know how many of them survived. We don't know how many of them, maybe they learned how to, this prepping guy's running one off of a single stroke gas generator. If the Russians could see the ingenuity an American has put into making their crappy robot work right again, they would be astonished, but it wouldn't be the first time, Rook. It wouldn't be the first time. This is worse than when we snuck up on that sunken submarine it is, and we stole a bell off it, and then we gave it to them later on because of glasnost and perestroika. Malone, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm talking about owning the Russians, idiot. Listen, Rook, you don't open your ears. Do you got wax in there? Perhaps you need a Q-tip, Rook? I don't need a Q-tip. Malone, I heard what you said. Why are you asking me what I'm talking about? You don't make any sense. Not to you, and I'm not going to explain it again. Why do you drink, Malone? Why do you drink, Malone? Why do you drink, Malone? Because I got to deal with incompetent help on this job site. In 1969, okay, Rook? They started realizing that their initial generation of these Livingston men was obsolete now. They had generation 3 and 4 on the assembly lines, Rook, okay? They was still upgrading them. This one you're talking about is a first generation prototype, Rook. You think they just stopped production there? Rook, how blind are you? I can see just fine, Malone. Can you? Because you don't realize if you know about it now that they've had it for 25 years and they got something way better. I guess I never really thought of it like that, Malone. That's interesting. Yeah, so what you see, as you see an obsolete model of one of these things, plodding his wares on the YouTube, selling his solar generators and freeze-dried food along with his little buddy there. You're missing the big picture, Rook. You could be one. How do I know you ain't one of these things? What if they're breeding? You know, life finds a way, Rook. Well, yeah, I mean, biological life. They're half human, Rook. Oh boy, do you suppose they left them like with, reproductive capabilities? We can assume they did, Rook. What are you laughing at? I just think it's interesting that you think about half cybernetic robots' reproductive processes. Well, and you don't? You don't think about these things, and this is why you're not the boss, kid. This is why it's you knocking on my door, okay? It's not the other way around. Okay, Malone, I got you. There's more of them, Rook. But this one's the progenitor. If we can somehow manage to catch this one and power it off, we'll cut the signal to all the rest of them. They're like Borg. You know, ever see that Star Trek show? Yeah, the Borg are like the cybernet. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Rook. They made those. Are you getting it now, Rook? Yeah, the thing's a Borg. He just doesn't look like one. He doesn't have fucking hoses and goggles and things hanging his scarves. He doesn't look like a corpse wearing some kind of, like he's in Rammstein, Rook. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. Are you? They don't look like, I am not going to explain to you again that they don't look like what you think they look like. All right, so they don't look like I think they look like. Is there some kind of like sign to like look out for? Is there some sort of like trigger thing? Like, what sets you off? Like, how do you know, Malone? I mean, how would I know? The first thing you got to know, kid, Livingston Man can just turn into anybody at any time. You just turn into anything. You take any side, you say anything, you be any person. As long as he fits into the situation right there, right now. He's an infiltrator. You could walk right in your own studio, you wouldn't know it. No need to look behind you, kid. There's no door back there. Trust me. You would see him. There's things about him if you watch him close, Rook. They don't move quite right. They don't look quite right. They don't sound quite right. Well, everybody on that YouTube channel was always complaining that like they could never hear him and that he sounded like a robot and that like his audio was always bad and yeah. Isn't that interesting? You see, that's because of all the sensors and like networking wireless stuff coming out of a Livingston Man. It's throwing everything off in that studio wherever he's sitting. It's, that's what they give off extreme interference. Do you think maybe we could use that to like try to lock onto it and track it? I don't know how well that would work for you because at the same time, they can detect electronic countermeasures such as those you're suggesting right now, Rook. So I don't know how well, like turning on some kind of Geiger meter and a EMF detector is going to work out for you. You get a lot of false positives from those. They'll even show up the things you got to watch out for with a Livingston Man. They strike you as extremely tech savvy. Like, they sit one down at a computer and it knows what buttons to push. Okay, well, that makes sense. It sort of like has an understanding of like a computer, like a neural network. Yeah, I don't know what neural network is. You can do whatever you want to do in your bedroom in your own time. But you go take your neural networking back to the club where you found it, Rook. I don't want to hear about that kind of inappropriate, degenerate stuff while we're on the job. It's not degenerate. What? You heard what I said. So they're good with computers, and they sometimes, if this one is what I think it is, he's meant to live with the creators. He probably makes all kinds of he probably considers himself some kind of artist, right? He's got guitars and like he makes music probably, and yeah, they do. They mention he thinks he seems to know how to like play a guitar, and he writes like cool theme music and stuff. Like, what do you mean cool? What's cool about what a robot did? Huh? You like AI generated music, Rook? Well, is that real? Is that real music to you, Rook? Is that the language of your people, Rook? Are you a Livingston Man? I'm not a fucking Livingston Man, Malone. Would you stop? I'm just as real as you are. Yeah, a Livingston Man would say that, Rook. Okay? You need to wake up to the threat that you've placed us all in by exposing this thing's existence. You think it's not going to find out that you know? Well, how would it find out? We're on YouTube right now, dummy. This is why I blocked your face. This is why I can't even show us. You don't get it. You don't get it. A selfish Rook. That's him. When I write it on your tombstone, okay, you know what it's going to say? Here lies Rook. Hey, I was selfish and didn't want to work and couldn't listen. I think that you are absolutely off topic here, Malone. You keep bringing it back to me not wanting to work and being cowardly and everything else, but you won't tell me. You won't tell me what is the deal with this thing? Is it indeed dangerous? You know what they do, Rook? They end up worming their way into society. They find a place of comfort on the YouTube. They come in, they start saying things that make sense, but in a sarcastic way because they're annoyed with the sheep-like behavior of some of the subscribers. And next thing you know, they're saying things that like make sense, but and are good, but people don't want to hear it because it's not their side saying it. So like he's just like this opinionated like blowhard about his like political. Why would a robot have political feelings? He's programmed to be a communist, Rook. You can't just root that out. What do you want me to do? Give him some kind of robotic lobotomy, Rook? Is that it? Well, maybe, right? You could just give it like I said, a firmware update. You said this Hudson Valley prepping and survival guy seems to have the technology to reprogram it. You said it taught it. You said he taught it to speak English. Yeah, but all he does is speak communism now in English, Rook. Okay, you can't cut that deepest part of him out. It's like his spinal cord is built into him. All the nuts and bolts. They practically are Russian. Well, at the time, Soviet. Who's counting anyway? I don't know what we should do about this Livingston Man. I guess what we should do is just like, maybe we'll just hang tight. We'll wait for them to go live tomorrow, and then perhaps we'll be able to swoop in and intervene. I don't think that's going to be a good idea, Rook, considering that they don't live stream tomorrow. See, today's Monday, but you forgot that because I called you in on Labor Day. You got me in here on a holiday, you son of a bitch. Rook, what was it? Thought you was going to get the day off because it's a holiday, Rook? It's Labor Day. It means you go out and labor. It's not what the holiday is all about at all, Malone. So you're going to tell me it's some communist celebration of like the workers, right? You're going to seize the means of production, Rook? You're going to read to me the gospel of Marx and Engels, Rook? No, I mean, it's just a holiday that celebrates, the American like worker and, their accomplishment, their exploitation, you mean? Hey, here you go. Hey, you guys, here's a day off. Here's a day off for everything you've done for us. Let me go count my millions, everybody. Here's a day off. Not getting paid for it. Here's a day off, everybody. Malone, you're going off on some communist like rant about. So you're like anti-capitalist? I ain't anti-capitalist. Who said I'm anti-capitalist? I love this country. I love capitalism, kid. You're trying to find 128 where it doesn't fit. That's what you're doing. You're counting. You need to zoom out, Rook. That's what you need to do. Malone, this has been the weirdest conversation I think that I've ever had. I really set you off. I mean, at the end of the day, what is it about one of these Livingston Man that people should really be afraid of? I mean, your description of it sounded like it's some sort of kind of level-headed, common sense, logical robot that where really it's just that people apparently disagree with it. That's what causes the problem. It's not that easy, kid. You see, the thing is that what we can't have is too many people following one of these things around, listening to what it says, thinking that that's okay, acceptable thinking, okay? We can't have this sort of, this socialist, communist agenda being perpetrated through my beloved YouTube by some Russian surplus piece of crap that's been programmed to speak English by some prepper, you called it. This is a mysterious, genius piece of machinery. This is like if Mercedes-Benz built a Tesla, Rook. That's a horrifying comparison, Malone. Isn't it? It's exactly what I meant. And some guy in upstate New York just has one, taught it to speak English, and he has no idea the danger that he is like holding back somehow. Props to this guy for controlling the thing in any regard. I can't believe the entire New York state hasn't been populated with communist, liberal, blue-haired, nose-ringed ideology. I mean, actually, that kind of happened. Malone, do you read like the papers? I don't read the papers. I don't like knowing what's going on. Yeah, you know, New York is a blue state now. The Democrats kind of run everything. Oh, you got to be shitting me. You see, this thing is already putting in work. It's already working. God damn it, private. I'm not a private, Malone. I'm a rookie. That's what I meant to say, and you're going to understand that what you need to do is know what I meant to say and not what I actually said, okay? There's some semantics involved here. Did they teach you that in the academy, Rook? No, I learned to be a police officer, not a psychologist, Malone. And that's your problem right there, among many others. You got to be careful with these Livingston Men, private, and I can't stress this enough. You're really putting them back, Malone. You're starting to make me uneasy. I'm going to need to build up some courage here, Rook. What do you need, like, courage for, Malone? I'm about to drop a real truth on you, Rook, and I don't think that you're ready for it. And I just want to get real nice and drunk before I tell you why the Livingston Man bothers me so much, Rook. It's a tough story to tell, and it's going to hurt people that are close to me. Well, it's a good thing I'm not that close to you, you know. It's a good thing you're not that close to me. There's people in the comment section right now who have never seen anything like this in the world. Rook, what I feel like I wish I didn't have to explain to them, Rook, is I'm trying to do a 40s radio show here. You can't tell nobody nothing. You see what I mean? I know a Livingston Man's not in this chat. Maybe there is. I ain't got time to look at that. I wish it wasn't on my screen for a presentation such as this. We've now subjected the general public to a confidential investigators chat. They know everything, Rook. Do you understand what you've done? You just walk in here, my cam's on, we have hot mics everywhere, Rook. You sit down and start talking about a Livingston Man. I didn't realize it was going to be so controversial, Malone. I actually thought the content was decent, and I thought I was gonna like recommend it to you. Actually, but then you had this whole reaction to it, and I don't really know what to think about it right now. You need to smarten up, is what you need to do. You're letting them Livingston Men get in your head. You're thinking to yourself, could I be the Livingston Man? I definitely don't think I'm a Livingston Man. And that's how they get you, Rook. Do you think a Livingston Man knows it's a Livingston Man? You think that level of consciousness occurs to a Russian robot? It's a talking Atari. We've been over this, Rook. Okay. I guess if you're thinking it, that means that you ain't it. Okay. Bottom line. And I guess any of these people in the chat, if they think they might be a Livingston Man, I can tell you they're not. Livingston Men don't know what they are. How do they know how to act and do what they do? It's programmed, Rook. You know, like those velociraptors from Jurassic Park, and they had like an inkling of instinct, okay? Were you paying attention when you read the book? Of course you didn't read the book. You saw the movie. Rook, I bet you saw it in the movie twice with your mother when you was like 10 years old. There's a book about Jurassic Park. This is why I hate working with you. You're too young for this. Anyway, they had these velociraptors in the park. And then what they did is they raised them instinctually alone, but they didn't have any sort of parental figure to train them how to use the instincts they was born with. They became feral, right? Rook, feral velociraptors. This is what this thing is that you have identified. It has no parents. It hasn't been taught to know what it is, how to act, what it's for. It's just here, living in a room on a live stream with some prepper from upstate New York. Rook, do you realize the peril the entire world is in? I really want to believe you're overreacting right now, Malone. But your intensity has kind of got me, I'm on edge right now. I mean, you got me thinking that this is something that we should like do something about. What do you propose? What do you propose that we do? I mean, how do you stop one? Stop one. Kid, you're gonna smoke another cigarette, Malone? You want to talk about stopping a Livingston Man, and you're like, oh, you're gonna smoke another one, Malone? You're the most annoying partner ever, Rook. I swear to God, I hate you. The instant I can transfer out of this shithole, I promise you I'm going to, and the entire little town of Livingston can be all yours, Rook, okay? You want me gone so bad. Jeez, Malone, why don't you like drink another beer? I think I will. Kid, I've really been trying here. I keep telling you don't see it, Rook. I keep telling you don't see it, Rook. Why are you staring at me like that? Because you don't see it, Rook. You don't get it, do you, Rook? Look at me, Rook. Look at me like I'm looking at you. I am him, Rook.